Welcome, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Confessions of a GroupX Instructor podcast. I'm really excited about today's guest, Nicole. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to you, Ellen, for being able to speak to your amazing audience.
No, aren't they the greatest? They're just the
They
greatest.
seriously are, and I know a lot of them.
I know. Ditto, ditto. I'm sure there's a few we don't know. I look at the analytics and there's definitely like a lot of countries tuning in and stuff like that, but I think we do know quite a few of the folks listening. So thank you all. I'm really excited to have Nicole on. And for those of you who don't know her, let me just back up and say that she's someone in my life that I thought of initially. You are someone I thought of initially when I launched the podcast, because Nicole and I share this like insane obsession with functional nutrition. And I don't remember like when I learned that about you, at what point. In fact, I don't even remember like officially meeting you. When did we meet each other?
When
Do you,
did we officially meet? We definitely met in DCAC. I think that was the first time we met.
was that the first time? Did you think
Yeah.
I was gonna be tall and then you met me and I was not? Were
I'm
you?
so short that you're still tall.
Oh, I just remember that year in DCAC, my first conference with Warrior, when I met those mobs of amazing women that came. Every single one of them was like, "Oh, I thought you were tall." Like
Yeah.
everyone greeted me with that same reaction to my height. So anyway, okay, that's where we met. Well, anyway, at some point I learned that you and I shared this insane love for what I call functional nutrition. I know you sometimes use the word holistic nutrition interchangeably with it. And for the audience listening, Nicole is infinitely more educated and qualified on this topic, but it is absolutely something we probably equally share a passion for, I would say. And I want to thank you for everyone listening for your response to my podcast about ED, my eating disorder that I aired last week. And I had already wanted to talk to Nicole at some point on the podcast about, something related to functional nutrition. And I was really prompted to, we'll tell you why in a second, after launching the eating disorder episode. So I, in that episode, without being redundant, I talked to all of you about how I was really food ignorant at the early, in my upbringing and all of that, and that I learned a lot about I learned a lot about nutrition in that eating disorders clinic I went to, and just sort of beyond. I've been interested in learning more about food and nutrition, and also medicine. And I have become one of those people that says food is medicine. I have become someone that believes food is medicine. And I really, truly believe that so deeply. And I've said that now for years, or parroted that or mimicked that saying for years. And the more I learn, the more I believe actually it is medicine on like a cellular level. It is healing, it is prevention. And I don't think there's like no place in the world for Western medicine. In fact, I had a hernia surgery. Like, I don't think I could have done anything to my diet to get that hernia out, to fix that, to repair that hernia. I think I needed, it was, a nail in a hammer situation, and I needed a surgery. And then I think there's some other things, like I struggle, with UTIs, and I have been prescribed antibiotics. God, Nicole, you would just die if you knew how many antibiotics I've consumed because of UTIs, when really there were some natural things I could do, and some things I could do with food, and cranberry, and to prevent and heal and fix something that I would just kept throwing antibiotics on, which was ruining my gut health. So I became someone that believes that our gut is like our brain. It is so important to our mood, our mental health, our ability to keep inflammation out of our body and therefore prevent and fight disease. And so Nicole shares all these same philosophies and ideologies, knows way more about them than I do. And so knowing that about her made me feel bonded to her. Like, it's like I guess if we were like both passionate about knitting and I found out you were like into knitting, or like we both were into Ferraris, like knowing that we were both so mutually passionate about this topic, is just kind of something she and I share. It's kind of like it feels like we have like not an inside joke, but like an inside connection when we, are in the room together.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We first talked about nutrition in Nashville. I remember we were sitting across the table from one another at a dinner. And
That's
that was, I believe that was in Nashville,
why did it come up?
2022.
Yeah,
Why did it come up? Well, nutrition often comes up. You might not realize it, but it really does often come up. And we were sitting at a dinner table. So like it was really going to come up. And you might have had at the time, you might have even had a UTI, and that might have been maybe why it came up. I think you did in
Probably.
Nashville. If you think about your first time in Nashville, I think you had a UTI. Do you remember?
Probably. I had a UTI once in Boston and at a fitness conference. Sorry, this is so TMI for our audience, but they're in it now. Put your seatbelts on, people.
Sorry, you mentioned UTI first. I wouldn't have.
I know you wouldn't have. But I did have one in Boston, and I had to go do that fun like crowd rouser thing that we do, on the stage at the keynote, like the Warrior Girls up on stage, and I was like doubled over in pain, and I have a high pain tolerance. I mean, I can handle pain. And I ended up having to go to a shout out to Elizabeth St. Clair, who will be listening to this, I'm sure. She had to take me to urgent care. I mean, I was doubled over. And I probably did have one in Nashville, and that probably is why we were talking about it. But yeah, so to the audience, and Nicole, I don't even know. I know some of these podcasts I listen to. These are the podcasts that I personally listen to. I don't miss any. Like, I've heard them. I listen to every single episode I listen to. And if you wonder how I have time in my life, when you
I
see
do.
it's because I do other things, like I'll be doing other things while I'm listening to them. And so like, driving and traveling and trying to fall asleep at night and stuff like that. But anyway, I listen to The Doctor's Pharmacy with Mark Hyman. I listen to Dr. Ruscio Radio. I listen to the Drew Pruitt. Drew is spelled DHRU. I love that show. I don't know if you have listened to him, but you would love him. He's actually Mark Hyman's like business partner. I listen to Revolution Health Radio with Chris Kresser. I listen to the Model Health Show. Remember when you got a voice memo from Sean?
I'll never forget. I'll never forget when I got a voice memo from Sean Stevenson. I still have it.
That should be your confession today, maybe.
That's it. It should be.
And I listen to Huberman Lab. So anyway, I'm a total nerd, and I don't know that everyone knows that about me, but I'm pretty obsessed with stuff about nutrition. But this podcast, of course, is really about group fitness. And so we're going to kind of like thread the needle a little bit between the two. So I guess, let me read you a little bit of Nicole's bio before I ask her how she got into functional nutrition, holistic nutrition, and group fitness. Nicole is a certified nutrition therapy master, board certified holistic nutrition candidate. Can you explain like candidate?
Yeah. So the board certification in holistic nutrition exam was one of the hardest exams that I've ever taken. I've taken a lot of exams. I love to learn. And so I had to take and pass the exam, and I had to do 500 contact hours with people within the 2-year time after the exam. And that 2-year time frame would be up in this May. And so I've submitted all the work. I passed the exam and I submitted all the paperwork, all those 500 hours of logging all my nutrition work with individuals. All the classwork doesn't qualify as contact hours.
Okay.
Just work with individuals counts as contact hours. So all of that is done and into the National Association of Nutrition Professionals, the board certifying agency. So they have all my paperwork, and I am just waiting for their approval to say I am no longer a candidate. I'm actually a board certified in holistic nutrition.
That's hard for me to wrap my mind around the magnitude of that, because I'm trying to relate it. So you had to do 500 contact hours. That's like you working with someone?
Yes, it's me working with someone and also me doing research for someone. Like, even take, for instance, if you had asked me about a particular supplement, even if you're not my client and I'm doing some research on a supplement for you, that counts as, what's that?
Which you have done.
Yes. Yeah. So that sort of thing, any research I do, any emails I'm writing in regards to clients, emails that I'm writing to clients, like, you know how much long it takes you to write an email that you're reaching out to a gym or to, a fitness organization, like that does take time. So that goes with those hours.
I was just relating it to getting my 200-hour yoga teacher training. I mean, 200 hours was so much work. And we had to do like 10, I believe, classes, like
Uh-oh.
teaching
I-
class, like live hours that was kind of related to your like 500 hours. So I was just like that, just acknowledging that that is a massive amount of, it was a massive investment of your time and energy, and I'm sure resources.
So that's what candidate means, is that I'm just waiting for the approval that I'm no longer a candidate and I am actually board certified in holistic nutrition.
I love it, but you've already passed. You're just waiting
Yeah,
for.
I passed the exam. That was the first, yep.
Nicole has her bachelor's degree in chemistry from Rutgers University, master's in holistic nutrition from Nutrition Therapy Institute. She's a certified personal trainer and group fitness instructor for 15 years. And she opened, and if you're watching this on YouTube, you can actually see it behind her. She opened her own private studio in 2011 and started offering nutrition therapy in 2021. And can you hear my cat crying or no?
I don't hear your cat crying.
Okay, great. Then we'll just carry on.
Carry on.
Okay. So what I love that I had Nicole kind of send me some things about her bio is that she says what drives me to help my clients is the sincerely held belief that the body has an innate wisdom to heal itself when given the appropriate conditions. And so anyway, tell us about like how did you get into group fitness and holistic nutrition?
So group fitness actually is how I did get into holistic nutrition, because as an instructor, you need to maintain your certification by taking continuing education credits. And I've always, forever and ever, had a passion for nutrition and fitness. So I was always taking nutrition classes through different organizations to like continue, get my credits and stuff. So I just felt that human beings are really, really smart, like we are. And we haven't figured out like the weight loss thing yet. And we're being taught over and over and over and over again that it's calories in, calories out. And it's some sort of simple mathematical equation, when a biological being of any kind is not a simple equation. That's not how we use nutrients. We don't do math inside our bodies. And I'm like, why am I still being taught this? This doesn't seem, something's not right. And we're probably still taught it. So I started to just kind of like those podcasts you mentioned, the people that would be on those podcasts, like interviewed, like I went and bought those people's books. Like I read Dr. Mark Hyman's book, and I read Nina Teicholz. She wrote The Big Fat Surprise, excellent book. Gary Taubes wrote amazing books on why we get fat, good calories, bad calories. So giving me a lot of insight. It was really what I was looking for, and that I knew there was more truth out there somewhere about nutrition, and for some reason we just weren't getting to the bottom of it. So I feel like I have.
You have. And I mean, I know this isn't something we were going to talk about today, but like the food guide pyramid, and I referenced it in my last episode about the eating disorder, but it's just wrong. It's just wrong information that we were taught and believed, and it did a number on our country and obesity and
Yeah.
disease. Okay, so that leads me to, so kind of why we decided to interview you today. Why did you, like 13 minutes into my last episode that you were listening to, why did you like get on your cell phone and voice memo me? Tell the audience about that.
Yeah, so it's funny because I debated listening to the whole thing but I didn't want to forget what I had to say, and I knew that this was going to be an emotional episode. So at about 13 minutes in, it hadn't really gotten to that emotional point yet. So the reason I reached out to you was you had talked about bodybuilding and bodybuilders counting everything and like all the macros and the numbers and the calories and all that. And I just have a pet peeve, like a sincere pet peeve about our wearables. I have an Aura ring. Whatever motivates somebody to move, I think that's fantastic that people are motivated to move by their steps and their miles and their heart rate or whatever. But I feel like the wearables connecting calories by by saying how valuable our movement is based on the calories we're burning will forever connect exercise as punishment for something that we ate. There's no way to get away from that because that's how we know calorie. That's how we know the calorie to be. It's like we can't get away from treating exercise as punishment in that paradigm. And I think that's a humongous problem. And so until we get away from that, I think people are, not us group fitness instructors so much. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of them out there still, but we don't think of exercise as punishment because we love it and we love spreading the love of fitness. But there are so many people in our classroom taking our classes that are very like misinformed and really thinking that they're if you're thinking that something is punishment, how are you going to enjoy it? So you're like 5 steps below the rung of even enjoying what you're doing when you're coming in with that mindset. And most people probably have that mindset.
Yeah, and they struggle, and I think it's easy for us to forget the struggle because we as group fitness instructors, like I'm not motivated to work out every single day. I'm really, truly not at all. But the difference between me and someone taking my class, or you and someone taking your class, is like I can't entertain the thought of staying home. It's my job. And so it's also a habit that I've established, but I can't entertain. I can't let the like maybe stay home tickle my ear, or oh, I have this other thing to do. Like there's always a million excuses just like dangling around for us to pluck out of thin air to not go to class, to not work out, to not eat well or whatever. And so it's this I want, for one of our messages today just to be a reminder to get out of our own perspective, to get out of our own shoes, our own line of our own experience, which is we don't have, it's not a struggle for us to go teach. It's fun. We get paid for it. We love it. It strokes our ego sometimes. There's so many reasons we love it. We feel like we're making an impact, all these things, but like that's not their experience. Sometimes for some of them, but for some of them, it's just such a struggle to even go. And so I don't think I talked about wearables in my last episode. I think I was just talking about the calorie counting thing um and orthorexia as it pertains to orthorexia. And I was thinking when Nicole left me that voice memo that like I actually had never thought about that before, Nicole, like that. And I'm a fan of my zone. I like that wearable technology. I like that it glorifies your effort not your fitness level, and it takes into consideration some very important factors like your resting heart rate and your max heart rate, and it's not just your age minus your 220 minus your age or whatever the old archaic thing was. So but when anyway, I like, I know that gamification and wearables is a fun thing, and we're not down on that at all. But when you talked about that on my voice message, I was thinking about like how just at all the equipment at the gym, even our amazing cycle bikes, we have the most beautiful bikes at our club. And they tell you how many calories you burned, supposedly. It's bull crap. I mean, sorry, it's not accurate. It's not an accurate reading of calories, but it doesn't know what my resting heart rate is. It doesn't know my weight. It doesn't know, it doesn't know how many calories I burned exactly. But it's saying something on a subliminal, subconscious level that this is a super important metric. This is a super important part of why you're here. It's so important. We're going to build it into the technology and put it right in front of your face. In fact, the only thing you're going to be able to see is your watts, your RPM, and your calories, And I know there's some of them are different, like different bikes and different treadmills and electricals, and they give you different things. But when calories is one of them, it's suggesting that that is a measurement of, some standard. And, to your point, and I'm excited to hear you talk more about it. It just like calories has very little to do with nutrition.
That's very true. And I don't want people to misunderstand me, because I do love my wearable tech. I think your resting heart rate and your heart rate that you achieve during your workout, those are very valuable metrics. The number of steps you take in a day, there's certainly a correlation to the number of steps people take and their health, the number of steps people take and their longevity, and the number of steps people take and their decreased risk of Alzheimer's. Like, we can list, you could be listening to this podcast and decide to list 50 things probably pretty easily that fitness can do for you without benefiting the waist, your waistline, the size of your jeans, or your weight. Like, fitness does so many other things. And I don't think that, like you're saying, with this being the focus right in front of our face of calories, it really just takes away the enjoyment that fitness is. It's really like, yeah, it just, you're not focusing on the right things if that's what you're focused on, in my view.
Yeah, and another nice thing about wearables is that there is a fun factor. Like, there is a fun factor, especially some of the ones like the one I'm fond of has kind of a social component, and you can do challenges and stuff like that. So we're not down on wearables. We are just wanting to shed some light on calories and what they mean. So can you kind of, I mean, of course we have an educated audience listening, but can you kind of talk about, because that was one of the things that I walked away from that eating disorders clinic finally understanding, is that like I could eat a plate full of broccoli and give myself some quality nutrition and nutrients, or I could eat a bag of potato chips. Like, that there's just this, can you just kind of talk about calories?
Yeah. So a good example too is like a 0-calorie soda, and your bag of chips, let's just say it's going to give you 200 calories, versus the bag of broccoli is going to be, it's not 200 calories, but you could have broccoli and and a piece of chicken that might be 200 calories or whatever. And the amount of nutrients that you're going to get from the chicken and the broccoli are going to sustain you through your workout. I always encourage my classes, like, now that you've burned off some nutrition, like I do say that you are going to be depleted and you need to nourish your body. That's just part of it. It's not, I don't talk about depriving ourselves at all. So it's, and my children know, and they order like a Coke Zero or whatever the heck and they do it right in front of me, and they just ignore the rolling of my eyes. it's not nourishment for your body. And worse than that, your body doesn't know what to do with it. Our body knows what to do with food. It doesn't know what to do with a chemical. And that's why we're seeing a lot of illness, you know, in our culture now.
Right. It leads to inflammation, and which leads to disease and poor health span. Yeah. So if you had like one underlying message to your, I don't know, fitness and, nutrition clients and, fitness goers and class goers, what's like your underlying message?
Oh, I would say find something that you love so that you enjoy it. Because being that these are, you know, group fitness, this is a group fitness focused podcast. There are fitness modalities as, you know, as many as the day is long. And there's a reason for that. It's because people love all kinds of different ways to move, you know? So find whatever your way is to move and find some real healthy food that you love and can enjoy, because we all want to be healthy. We want to be the best versions of ourselves, whether we're a group fitness instructor or not, or a student. And in order to do that, you have to really enjoy the health journey.
Yeah. I mean, for adherence, to stick to it, yeah. So, all right, I'm excited to ask you this question. And I don't know what your answers are going to be. And I didn't tell you that I also am going to answer the same question, because when I was talking about my eating disorder last week, I had intended to kind of circle back to some of my personal nutrition tips, because also some of our audience also personally might be struggling. I mean, some of you might be struggling in your journey with overeating and disordered eating and mental health and all of those things, and certainly we know some of your students are. And so I did learn some life altering things related to nutrition and food and eating that really helped me. And that's why I sort of disclaimed that I am not a nutritionist at the beginning of that last episode, because I had intended to get to that list, but I'm going to add it after I kind of pick your brain. And I wonder, we might even say some of the same things. But I also think it's not like one size fits all. Like I think people, just like you said, there's an appetite. People are unique and different and have different appetites for exercise. And I love that you brought up the different modalities. You're so right. Like there's I love that there's so many. Did you see my little thumbs up? We're animated on our screen if you're watching us right now. There's different strokes for different people, different types of group exercise. I'm excited, by the way, to be interviewing lots of different people about the formats that they provide, just to educate all of us on what's out there. But I think nutrition is unique too. Like I do think that people that maybe have are pre-diabetic or have high A1C might, maybe intermittent fasting or fasting windows or keto. Like maybe there's situations where certain things work for certain people. And but when you're dealing specifically with someone who might be eating disorder, that's what I can talk about with some expertise. We have to be really careful about the way we talk about food. Okay, so what are some tips? I don't know if you have 3 or 10 or what. What are some tips that you have just about nutrition?
Okay, so I have three really big tips about nutrition, and then I have like three kind of lifestyle tips that do relate to nutrition as well. So I'm going to go through those. I don't want to be completely negative. So my three lifestyle ones are a little positive of things you can do, and then my three nutrition ones are kind of things that you shouldn't do. So, or minimize. Not that you don't do them. Come on, I do eat junk too. Um, Minimize or eliminate processed foods. I hope that we all know what those are, but like if something's in a box or a bag, it's been processed. You know, if you don't know what it originally was, it's processed. So box or a bag. So minimize or eliminate processed foods. Number two, and it's goes to number one, but minimize or eliminate inflammatory seed oils. If you're buying processed foods, I guarantee you these seed oils are in them. Also at restaurants, they're cooking with inflammatory oils, chances are, because they're cheaper. So just so you know that.
You know that, wait, you know that restaurant, fast food restaurant, super healthy. It's in DCAC. What's it called?
Oh, it's not fast food, the True
No.
Food Kitchen.
No, not the. Is it called True Food? Well, anyway, they eliminated seed oils. Did you hear about that?
Where? So no, though, so it's not True Food Kitchen because they
not True
probably
Food
never
Kitchen.
used them.
It's a place that we went. Come on, come on, come on. It's like next to DCAC conference.
Oh, I know. It's the salad place.
Sweet green.
Yes, yes. It's like sweet
greens.
greens.
They are letting go, no more seed oils.
Yay, good for them.
Big move.
Good for
Okay,
them.
Sorry,
That's what we need to do. And before, just to give you a little food history, but before the lovely food guide pyramid and our terrible research that brought us down that low fat hell that we went through in the 80s and the 90s, and some of us are still stuck in it. Prior to all of that, all the fast food places and all restaurants used was lard to cook with. They replaced all of that with this manufactured, lab created stuff. And now it's hard to get them out of it because it's cheaper. So it affects their profit margin. But thank you for bringing that up. I didn't know that. I did hear there was someone that eliminated seed oils, but I didn't know it was a big name like that. That's fantastic. So
yeah,
they all
he's like a young owner, and I think he was like Forbes 30 under 30. Like, it was a really impressive interview. I'll try to find it on one of those shows that I told you I listened to everything.
Oh, okay, great.
I'll find
great.
it for you. Okay, carry on.
Yeah, please do. All right, so that was number two, the inflammatory seed oils. If you buy packaged foods, you probably are eating them. And then number three is minimize added sugars. And again, if you're not eating processed foods, then you're not getting added sugars, because if you're adding sugar to your food or you're not. So I would say if you needed like the standard I go by, even if I'm going to buy something like I like Purely Elizabeth's granola, like that's a healthy granola, but it's not a health food, but it's a healthy granola, right? So that I do buy, and I will find the varieties that have 5 grams or less. So a good rule of thumb is 5 grams or less of added sugars and 5 ingredients or less if you're going to buy a packaged food. Now, real quick, the 3 do's, okay? Those were the 3 don'ts. Now I have 3 do's. This one's really simple, and it'll really help your digestion. Chew, chew, chew your food. And people think of their teeth as like something for like vanity wise purposes. Chewing your food is an essential step to get the nutrients to be small enough for your small intestine to start to take care of that, so that your body can absorb the nutrients from your food. So chewing your food, like we're not inhaling our food. Take the time to chew your food. That's huge, especially if you bloat and you get that, if you just nail that one, it could change your life. Number 2, take 10 deep breaths before enjoying your meal. I think back in the day when people were more like prayerful before meals, that was like a way, because it calms your central nervous system. If we are stressed, and most of us are, if we are eating in a stressed state, we are not producing the stomach acid that we need to be producing to digest our food. So we shouldn't be getting our dinner through a drive-through. We shouldn't be standing and eating. Sit and relax and eat your food. So maybe you already pray before your meals. If you already do, then you don't need to take your 10 breaths, because being in a prayerful, relaxed state, I think is, that's something that all cultures probably did before we started these crazy lives that we live now. Yeah. And that was number 2. Number 3 is lifestyle. Every human being should lift weights.
Did you see my muscle?
I believe very, very strongly in the power of lifting weights.
For those of you listening on audio right now, just imagine, because Nicole and I are doing a gun show. We're both flexing. Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that you said lift weights. Ah, yes.
Like the most important thing, probably
Oh my
for your
gosh.
body and your metabolism.
Was that your list? Was
That
that
was
your
my list.
Okay, oh
3
my gosh.
food and 3 lifestyle.
That is, I like the word dissimilar. Have you heard me use the word dissimilar?
I love that word,
Have
yes.
it. Everyone listening can have it because you will use it because you do need it in your life. It's when something is similar but different. It's dissimilar.
Yes.
So my
So
list, well, I didn't know what her list was, and she doesn't know what my list is, and they're dissimilar. They're very, very dissimilar. Okay, are you ready?
yeah.
So, my tips are, and I don't even know how many I have. I didn't number them. One is to like start right. Like start your day right. Kind of like that mindset of like make your bed or eat that frog if you've ever read that book. Or try to get some workouts in the beginning of the week. Like start your day off right. And that is something I can say uh truthfully that I start every single day with incredible nutrition. I'm not perfect either. I do tend to sometimes fall apart in the evenings, but I start every day with a powerful mix of a shake and some. I take supplements. I think supplements are important because of the like depleted nutrition because of our soils and so many other things. I do think that we do need supplements. So I start with my day, I start right. And then psychologically, it matters. When you start right, it motivates you. We talked last week about that spiral. It puts you in an upward spiral. So, I'm probably gonna have a better workout because I started right, and then I'm probably gonna want to eat good snacks in the afternoon, and that is how it works for me. And so the other thing, and Nicole did say this, but avoid, processed food. So I said bags, packages, boxes, anything that is gonna like live forever should not go into your body. It should not go into your body. I mean, it's just so weird that I believed that there was some disconnect between like everything is penetrating our body, like what we breathe, things we put on our skin. I mean, there's medicines that are topical because our skin is an organ. It's a filter, just like your kidneys or your liver, like everything. And so everything we put in our body, every bite is either helping us to get healthier or diminishing our health. It's like that important. And so, um, uh, so yes, in a perfect world, and again, I am not perfect, but these are like my aspirations and what I try to do. I try to even have like single ingredient foods, like green beans and a filet mignon or potatoes and beans, and like those are one ingredient foods. For snacks, I like to have like hard-boiled egg, nuts. It's just one thing, carrots. Hummus doesn't have a lot of ingredients. It's like, what is it? Lemon juice and olive oil and garbanzo beans. I mean, it's Nicole said 5 ingredients or less. So those are just kind of like my ideal. And then also I try to eat high fiber and high protein. I mean, if you just think about like a Twinkie or whatever, there's like nothing to it. It like literally will just like, there's no substance to it. There's nothing. You were talking about chewing. There's nothing to chew. So fibrous things, they slow down your digestion. There's so many benefits. They cleanse your body. I mean, there's different types of fiber, but, just increasing your fiber can help you lose weight. It helps with satiety, as does, healthy fats, and protein also is very satiating. So just increasing fiber and protein will make you feel very full, and it's very hard. It's very hard to overeat if you are full. And so if you think about eating, broccoli and a filet, you're going to be quite full. And like Ozempic, this new drug thing, it's basically like it's doing that, like it's making people feel sated and like they can't eat, like it's making them feel like they're too full to eat more. But we can do that with just like fiber and protein and healthy fats. Like those things are satiating. So that's something I really try to do. Um, the other couple things I really try to do is really, really prioritize sleep. I really do. If you know me well, you know I'm a night owl, but I sleep in. So I try to get a good 8 hours. I try to get a good 8 hours every single night, and just getting rest helps me be less bingy and less grabby towards and less inclined to put garbage in my body. Sleep and water. Okay, and then this has to do with, I'm bouncing all over. This is another psychological one. And I already mentioned how sometimes our participants struggle to just go, just to show up. And I like to say to my students, well, first of all, I like to let them know that I'm not always motivated. I like to let them know that that's a normal thing. I tell them, like, I'm lucky. I don't get to entertain those thoughts. And I tell them, like, treat it like that. Treat it like it's an appointment that you have, that you can't entertain the thoughts of not coming. And I was gonna say, I tell them, just bring your feet, and you don't have to have a great workout. Like even if it's a mediocre workout, like even if it's like, wah, that was just like, I didn't sweat that much, and I didn't lift that heavy or whatever, like it's better than nothing. It counts. It counts. And your body doesn't know you weren't motivated when you were doing those bicep curls. Like your biceps, they don't know. And and then finally, like the motivation often comes like once we start moving, the serotonin and the dopamine and all those natural antidepressants that are coursing through your brain and your veins they stimulate you, and they adrenalize you literally, and they motivate you. And so often on my non-motivated days, I have some of the best, most like amazing workouts ever. So I like to share that with my students too. Just bring your feet, just show up. You're probably going to have the best workout ever. And even if you have a crappy workout, it still counts. Um, and then also some things I kind of learned, kind of at that eating disorders clinic, is to use a smaller plate. So I like to use those smaller, like more like salad plates than, and what do you call those things? Like ramekins. I like
Yeah.
those ramekins. I'll like use ramekins instead of bowls, just because we eat too much in America. And so our
Yeah.
plates are too big. Our plates are too big. Our bowls are too big. It's all too big. So like, I'm like, I like try to get like little tiny small things, like in little tiny cheese plates and like and that's not about deprivation. That's just about like I can always go back for more. Um and then and like if I go out to eat, I do like to go. I love food. I love food. I'm a total foodie. I love to go. I like to, if I'm working hard at a conference or something and exerting a lot, I love to treat myself to a burger and French fries or something like that and eat out. But you can often take half of that home. You can often like just know that you're being overserved, like those are bigger than normal serving sizes. So sometimes I'll actually like cut my food in half on a plate, and just kind of like, then I'm telling my body and my brain and my mind, like, wouldn't that be nice later? Wouldn't that be nice to take back to the hotel room and enjoy later? But if I don't cut it, and I know this sounds silly, but if I don't cut it in half, and I don't do that if I don't cut it in half, I'm more likely going to eat the whole thing.
And it
um,
doesn't sound silly because you'll end up, even if you don't eat the whole thing, you'll end up having more than you should have. And then what's left isn't worth taking home. So it makes total sense.
yes, exactly. You kind of like you put aside a portion that you think you would enjoy later. And then you have this like, this a little reward. It's great.
Mhm.
So and then this is so again similar to something Nicole said, to eat mindfully. And this has to do, like she said, about taking the 10 breaths before you start, which I have never heard before. I love that. But just setting your fork down like between bites, and actually, like she was talking about chewing your food from a digestive standpoint and how digestion is starting when you're chewing. But digestion actually starts like in your brain. When you look at your food, you can start salivating, like, so just slowing down. And so she was talking about from a digestive standpoint, and I'm talking more from a psychological standpoint. if you just enjoy it, like all of it, how it looks, like hopefully your food is colorful. The more, colors represent like what phytochemicals and phytonutrients and
Mhm.
things that fight cancer and disease. And so hopefully you have color on your plate and texture and it's arranged neatly. Like that, all that stuff matters. Like food is art. And if you can enjoy how it looks, how it smells, the people you're sitting with, and maybe you're alone, maybe you're eating alone, if you can enjoy your own company, your own thoughts, like if you can just enjoy, and the opposite of this, like she said, is like, if you're busy and the lifestyles we live today, we're so busy that it's tempting to like be also doing your email or also talking on the phone. And I just won't talk on the phone if I'm eating. First of all, I don't really think someone wants to hear me eating. I have issues like that. But it you can like literally not even realize it's you that you ate. You can literally be like, wait, where'd it go? Where'd it go? I didn't eat it. Where'd it go? Um, so yeah, just so make sure like you're not eating out of, in haste. She said it, sit down, just sit down, get comfortable, put a cat on your lap, whatever it takes to enjoy your food. And then there was something else that I learned at that eating disorders clinic, Nicole, that I think about probably every time I eat. It just stuck with me and changed my life a lot. And it was that if I'm full, the feeling of like full, it's okay to feel full, satisfied, that feeling of fullness is okay. That's not overindulgent. That's not gorging ourselves. But that, if we're not overeating, that feeling should subside after about 15 minutes or so. So every once in a while, I'll eat something. Like I have this guilty pleasure right now because I'm a pizza lover. I have this guilty pleasure for this, like Costco has this um uh what do you call it? Cauliflower crust, gluten-free like pizza, and I'm a pizza lover, so sometimes I get it. And because I enjoy it so much, it's something I have a tendency to want to overeat at night, especially if I'm tired and blah blah blah. And sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been an hour and I am still full. I'm full. I ate an hour ago. That tells me like I ate too much. That was too much. And then the other thing is like it's okay. Like I don't beat myself up about that. I harbor no resentment towards myself about that. I just make note of it. Try again better next time. I'll try to have a little bit less next time. But I just don't go there with the like self-loathing and the shame. None of it. I just don't. I have so much grace for myself in this department. And the irony is giving myself grace and the freedom to enjoy, French fries and the pizza and stuff like that. It really does allow me to never have tendencies to binge eat or anything like that anymore. So I don't know. What do you think are my tips on? I
Those
mean,
are great. Those are great tips. And I want to try that Costco cauliflower pizza now. So I'm going to go look
really,
for it over here in New Jersey. Yeah, great tips. The fiber, the start well, the eating protein. You literally can't. That's why when you look into any kind of diets, like there's, different kinds of diets, the protein amount doesn't really fluctuate because as humans, we can just tolerate a certain amount of protein. You cannot overeat protein. Your body will stop eating when you're full. Notice when you're eating a steak, you will get full, but you can eat something else, right? You've had enough protein. Your body tells you when you've had enough protein.
it tells you. It's just hard for us to remember to listen and to learn
Yeah.
how. Yeah. Okay, so the show is called Confessions of a Group Exercise Podcast. So I hope you prepared something to confess to us. It can be
Yeah.
scandalous, it can be funny, it can be educational. What do you have?
Okay. Okay. It wasn't even that hard for me to think of because it got me into fitness to begin with. So I wasn't an athletic child. I just want to say something real quick too, that when you started talking about your healing journey on your last podcast, that your baby was one of the things that saved you. My baby was one of the things that saved me too. So try to keep from crying. But yeah, so I was on a road to certainly nowhere until I was blessed by being pregnant with an unplanned pregnancy. So it was a devastating time in my life. Um, and that being said, this was my road to fitness when I was at the OBGYN and I was like 22 years old and I was unmarried and knew nothing about life and being a mother, and it wasn't in my plan. Um, and he said to me that motherhood was going to make me matronly. This is what the obstetrician said to me. And I harbor no ill will towards him because he changed my life. That changed my life. Um, so it was that day that literally that day, and I was pregnant, but I mean, I was 23. I wasn't afraid. That's the thing, when you're in your 20s, you're not afraid of anything. So I wasn't afraid of anything. And so I started working out that day. He changed my life. My
That,
baby changed my life. So that was it. That's my confession.
that was amazing. I didn't know that. You never shared that with me. I love that.
Thank
Mm.
you.
Well, thank you, Nicole, so much for coming on. Oh, before you go, tell us like where we can find you on social media, and also like tell us about your gut healing meal plan on your website and all that stuff. And
Okay, yeah.
I'll put it in the show notes also.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Ellen, so much for having me. This is like a dream come true. I mean, first of all, I'm talking to this beauty right here for an hour. She's amazing. But really to be on a podcast, like I'm just like a very opinionated person, if you know me. So for me to be able to share my opinion for an hour, that's fantastic. So to find me, all my social handles are Nicole Printon. And on my website, you can go to NicolePrinton.com to find me and see more about me and what I do. And there is a gut healing meal plan, which also has a meal prep plan, which is fantastic. Like that's like important for me because it's like, great, now I need a shopping list. And so it gives you everything. So you can go over to my website and download your gut healing meal plan, or you can book a free call with me, which you will get a, you know, you'll have insight into some issues. You'll have a concrete path forward of things to do to help you on your journey.
Yeah.
That's it.
I love it. I will just say that I have referred some people to Nicole, and the testimonies are amazing. In particular, like one friend of mine, I referred to Nicole because she had been having like horrible, painful bloating and distension and discomfort for years, and had been seeking help. You know, been going to the doctor and trying all kinds of things, and was kind of at her wit's end, and started working with Nicole, and is, now has relief. So it's pretty amazing. Anyway, it's my honor to have you. I have so much respect for you. Yes, she's a free thinker and she's got a lot of opinions, and that's why we love you. So thank you for being on, and thank you to everyone for tuning in. Bye.
Bye.